What's up, guys? Here with you with FC Wonder Kid, episode 123. Here with my guy, Bretson. How are you?
I am good. I am excited. We are a couple days away from the Champions League starting, the group stage getting ready, and there's just so much to talk about. Beyond that, we got to talk about Messi. We got to talk about the Premier League. We got to talk about Brighton and how good they are, and Manchester United and how they are. But we will get to all that. But I want to start today, Alex, before asking you how you are. I got to bring this up, okay? I don't know how much you and I get a chance to talk about the Eredivisie, but how cool is it that there are 3 clubs in the Eredivisie that have won all 4 games to start? Feyenoord, I think AZ Alkmaar, and then there's a team, FC Twente, right? You and I both know this team, but what happened was FC Twente over the weekend beat, I wouldn't say just beat, they crushed Ajax. Okay, Ajax is off to their worst start ever since 1965. 58 years of history of Ajax getting beat up on right now. And the best part of it is their manager, Maurice Stein, okay, he was scored on by his son, who plays for FC Twente. 21 years old, and he scores one of the 3 goals to win 3-1. And I don't know, I didn't do the history, but if we can start this off in episode 123, tell us in the comments section if you know other sons that have actually scored against their managerial fathers in footballing history, because my goodness, FC Twente's a pretty young team. And Sam Stein, just beating up on a woeful Ajax. And it just makes you think, I think there's a changing of the guard happening in the Eredivisie. And I knew we weren't going to talk about it later, so I just wanted to bring it up now right off the bat. Because what better way? We've all wanted to, be better than our dads at things. What better way to do it, right, than score a goal against your dad and probably get him fired in the very near future?
That's true. And
it's pretty bad.
And Twente is really an interesting case that we'll for sure be talking more on episode 100 and many more because Twente is a Wonder Kid team. But Feyenoord, you said with Arne Slot, Mats Wiefer, Igor Paixão, Santiago Jimenez, Hanku that played against Portugal over the weekend. A lot of interesting players, but you said it. In this podcast, we'll be talking about Messi. We'll be talking about the Champions League. We'll be talking a little bit what's happening in Qatar. That if you know what's happening in Qatar, comment down below showing that you have that football knowledge and watching every single thing that's happening in the beautiful game. But starting off, episode 123, Champions League predictions of game week 1. Okay, it's back, okay? The best competition in Europe, okay? It's happening. And look, the predictions, tell us down below if you agree, if you disagree. Like this video, because if you want to see more predictions, we see by that like count, okay, people? So, go bold. So let's start from the Tuesday fixtures with one that is going to be an interesting one. AC Milan against Newcastle. Tonali against AC Milan. An AC Milan team that just lost 5-1. They need pure inspiration. And Rafael Leão, Pulisic, Olivier Giroud, Okafor, Chukwueze, they need to do something about this. And I'm dying to see what's going to happen. But, whoa, Bretson, what are you thinking here?
Well, it brought me down to earth on the Rossoneri, that's for sure. I mean, that was not just a beat. That was a drubbing. That was a butt-kicking, and one that hopefully will piss Pulisic and Chukwueze and obviously some of the more established players on AC Milan off to the point where they're going to want to take it to Newcastle. But Newcastle ground out a win, but they're new. They're not new, but they haven't been in the Champions League in a while. So I am going to pick AC Milan, chip on their shoulder, angry that they basically lost to Inter Milan for the 5th time in a row. Ooh. I repeat, 5 times in a row they have lost to Inter Milan in the Milan derby. That's terrible. It's unacceptable. And I think that AC Milan is going to bounce back here at home, and they will beat Newcastle 2-1. And I will say that Christian Pulisic will also bounce back, and he will score in this game.
And I like Pioli, but that stat isn't good. 5 losses?
No.
like
terrible.
Inter Milan with Inzaghi. We'll be talking more about them. But yes, Breton, it's going to be an interesting one. I wouldn't be shocked if a draw happens here. But AC Milan, I agree with you. Need a win. And I'll be going with AC Milan. Tell us what you're thinking about this one down below. So another game here, playing early. It's Young Boys against Leipzig. Leipzig away. And if we're talking about Leipzig sold Joško Gvardiol, but Simakan, Lukeba, David Rom, they're going bold. And the most important figure, Xavi Simons. Xavi Simons in 4 games has 3 goals and 4 assists. It's time to shine.
Crazy.
And in the Champions League, that's where he will shine. Pay attention to RB Leipzig with Xavi Simons. Bold wonder kid, people. Leipzig wins.
So I think I'm with you. Yeah, Leipzig wins, and but I will say Xavi Simons might take the night off in the sense of being on the score sheet all the time. I think because he was rested or he only played a little bit over the weekend, where Xavi Simons and Lois Openda were definitely the stars. I think it will actually be Benjamin Sesko that winds up getting on the score sheet against Young Boys. But this ain't Young Boys. The Young Boys that has impressed us a lot in the past. They've sold their best player, Fabian Rader, to Stade Rennais. So yeah, I'm with you. Leipzig wins. Easy.
Leipzig, and you said it, man. Sesko, Openda, Dani Olmo, Leipzig. Great. Even though they sold Gvardiol, they sold Szoboszlai and Nkunku, they have solid attacking options. Pay attention to them. I am excited for this one that we're going to be talking now, Breton, because yes, they lost Ange Postecoglou, but Celtic in the Champions League, they're not playing at home, but they're never easy. Feyenoord of Arne Slot versus Celtic. What are you thinking, Breton?
This is in Rotterdam, so I'm gonna have to say Feyenoord wins this one. I don't think this is this isn't a Celtic team. If this were at Celtic Park, we'd have a tougher discussion, but I'm gonna say Feyenoord 3-1 because man, did you see them over the weekend? 6 goals and 6 different nationalities scoring those individual goals, and how can you not get behind that? They've got Igor Paixão, they've got Santi Jimenez, they've got Yankuba Minte, who is on loan from Newcastle, scoring, and they're coming into this match against Celtic, playing at home, 17 goals in the last 3 matches. I got to say Feyenoord wins this.
Oh, you said it all. I am going Feyenoord too. And my prediction is with Feyenoord, I think Santiago Jimenez most possibly will be at the goal sheet because this is one of the strikers that can be sold next summer for a fee that will be bold, okay? They refused Feyenoord 30 million, okay, as it's rumored from many other teams. So pay attention to Santiago Jimenez. Okay, here. Lazio Atletico de Madrid, okay? This was a tough weekend for both teams. Atletico loses 3-0 against Valencia. I wasn't believing what I was seeing, Breton, okay? Simeone ball is not going bold. They had a good start before this Valencia game, but look, what a weekend it was for Felix. We'll talk more about that. And Lazio. Lazio that lost to Juventus. I'm not surprised about that result, but still, it's a bad result leading up to a game against Atletico de Madrid. Lazio Atletico. What are you thinking, Breton, here?
I think Simeone learns from his weekend butt whooping, and I think that he at least pulls out a draw in the capital city. I think Lazio is there for the taking, but I also don't think that they're just going to lie down and take it. So I say draw. They go even, but yeah, I'm more surprised over this weekend at how bad both of them played. But Atleti needs it, and they need at least a point, and I think they're going to get it because they're not as bad as they played over the weekend, although they were horrible.
Horrible. That was horrible what we saw. An interesting fact, this is Sarri against Simeone. So it's always a good game to see 2 master tacticians in their own style of play that many people may not like, but it's always interesting to see a Champions League game with these 2. I will be going with Atletico de Madrid because I think when it's Champions League, this team ticks different, just like their neighbors in Madrid too. But tell us down below if you're agreeing with our predictions, and make sure you like this video and the podcast, showing that you want more videos just like this. But here, Breton, this is a big one, and it's Paris Saint-Germain against Borussia Dortmund. A team of Borussia Dortmund that over this weekend, Mats Hummels once again shows himself as a legend, okay? Remontada.
New striker.
New striker. Remontada with the signature of Matsumos. That's what they need against the PSG. Goals and set pieces. Do you believe against PSG, Breton?
I think PSG is backed into a corner here. I really do
Oh.
think PSG is backed into a corner. Listen, they're playing in Paris, but this is a very I'm going to say it, shockingly bad start to the season for PSG. They're wasting 7 goals to start in Ligue 1 in just 4 or 3 games, I think, for Kylian Mbappe. And they're drawn into the group of death. They only have 2 wins in 5 to start Ligue 1. I think they'll figure it out eventually. And now they've got to face a Dortmund side that actually won. But listen, I'm not convinced by Dortmund. I am not convinced by them in the slightest. I honestly did not like the transfer window. I think PSG is going to win this one, and it will actually be PSG starting to put things together. As long as Kylian Mbappe is on the field and they're playing in Paris, I think that they will get this done against Dortmund.
I completely agree with you. I think this is the moment. Mbappe takes different in World Cup, in Champions League, especially when it's his last season, expectedly last season in Paris, okay? I think Mbappe could even score a hat-trick against Dortmund. He can go bold against this team that defensively has struggled in their past few games. Mbappe, this is the time, and this is the last season to win the Champions League. Tell us down below if something crazy can happen. And Luis Enrique, over the weekend, wasn't happy to see his team lose the way they did against Nice of Masterclass Mofi 2. You talk loads about Mofi, Breton. So you deserve a lot of credit towards the listeners that know because of you about Terem Monfi, okay? Tell us down below more players we have to be attentive to, okay, over the market. But here, a team, Man City against Red Star. I think both of us will agree that Man City will win this game. And I want to say, 4 years ago, Erling Haaland had his debut in the Champions League, and he scored a hat-trick. Erling Haaland. And I fully expect this Champions League season for Haaland to have more goals than last season in the Champions League that he won. And I'd like to see in the semi-final and in the final, Haaland being crucial and improving in that sense, and then winning the Ballon d'Or, and everyone would see him as the best player in the world too. But it'll be a Euro year too. It will be a Euro year. Ay, Mbappe.
And maybe a Euro year where Norway will not qualify, which would be really bad for club football, because that will extra piss Erling Haaland off. That's for sure. He'll be scoring 90 goals in a year like somebody else we know. But listen,
91.
I got a lot of flack, right? I got a lot of flack for saying Red Star would finish 4th, right? In this. So I'm going to watch this. I'm going to watch this with open eyes, because what better way to convince me otherwise than going to Manchester and actually getting a point or something. But no, I think Julian Alvarez is going to, he deserves a lot of credit this season. He had 2 assists the other day against West Ham. And he is I think he's going to be central to this win. I think they're going to make sure they get it done. And come on, Jeremy Doku getting off the mark, scoring his first goal for Manchester City. Couldn't make me any happier over the weekend for such a good kid that we've seen go from Anderlecht to Stade Rennais to now Manchester. So yeah, I think Red Star, it just so happens, or maybe it's a positive, that they get what I think will be a butt whooping out of the way in first match day. But I'm watching it extra carefully. I want to see good things from this team from Belgrade, and we'll see if it happens.
The Etihad is now a tough team a tough stadium to play now with Pep Guardiola and Man City. I think we have to dedicate, a bit of time here with Man City, because Man City, we both agree, is the favorite right now to win the Champions League. Man City too has the best defense in the world. They have Ruben Dias, that is the best center back, a pure leader that has never lost the Premier League. And now they add Gvardiol, they have Akanji, they have Hake, all players that are comfortable to play with the ball at their feet, and defenders. The style of play is ridiculous. And you said a name too. Julian Alvarez, that is substituting the role of Kevin De Bruyne behind Erling Haaland. 5 games, 2 goals, 3 assists. Alvarez is delivering and showing the importance that he had too the importance he had to last season for the European treble and for Argentina to win the World Cup too. And the last player, last two players, Bernard Silva. Bernard Silva's extension is vital. And against West Ham, we saw it in pure action. Such an intelligent player. The moves that he does, he improves everyone around him. The value of Bernard Silva for Guardiola is no doubt more than like 100 million to lose this player because Barca wanted him big time. And the last player you said, Doku. He had, like you said, Pep Guardiola at the end of the West Ham game said, Jeremy Doku is a proper winger. And we know when Guardiola he's saying these statements, this is going to be a world-class player in the next 1 to 2 years. Jeremy Doku and Man City keep doing this. Foden, Alvarez, Ruben Dias, Haaland, all reasonably young. And make Man City the favorite in all this. But tell me if you agree with everything that I'm saying. Tell me, because I want to know.
Yeah, and there's a lot there, but it's all new players for the most part. I mean, we talk about Haaland, but Jeremy Doku, that snapshot at the end of that run, I mean, that's what he is known for. That's what he can do. And I can't wait to see it on the Champions League stage. So we'll see. But I think Manchester City is going to wrap up Group G relatively easily.
And until now, all wins for Man City this season, just like other teams like Inter that we're going to be talking about. But Man City have played against West Ham away and Newcastle 2 at home. That Newcastle was without De Bruyne. A match that Foden and Alvarez had to deliver big time too. Pep Guardiola, squad rotation, rebuild, elite. That's why Man City has 5 Premier League titles in 6 years. But tell us down below if you're agreeing and if you're enjoying this podcast right until now. Okay, so Barca. Now, this is what I'm excited. Barca against Antwerp, Breton. What do you have to say about this one?
Okay, let me start with Antwerp. I think Barcelona is going to win this, but let me just start with Antwerp. I am very, very excited from an FC Wonderkid perspective to see how Arthur Vermeeren does on this type of stage. What better way to audition for the large clubs of the large leagues than to play well against a Barcelona. But listen, I know you're going to talk about João Felix, so I will not steal your thunder in 1 second. I'm going to talk instead about the embarrassing international window that Poland and Robert Lewandowski had. And I think that very clearly, Lewandowski took that incredibly personally. And as we saw in that ridiculous showing against Real Betis, and I think it's going to continue against Royal Antwerp. So I only fear for Royal Antwerp at this moment in time. I don't think it's a matter of if Barcelona wins. It's just a matter by how much. And I'll throw a little, nice little side bet in there. Lamine Yamal gets on the score sheet in this one, scores his first Champions League game.
I love it. Okay. A lot of topics, a lot of things to mention from what you said. And just mentioning, like you said, Arthur Vermeeren. A player like this on the market for 15 to 20 million, I agree with you. He's auditioning against Barca, and Barca might be the team to get him, okay? The playmaking ability of this man. Mark van Bommel knows what's up, and that's why he's starting at such a young age. Pay attention to this game and to that young midfielder. But pay attention to Barca too, because I think Barca is going to be now the hot topic in the next 3 months, Breton. I'm fully excited for the Barca rebuild. And yes, Barca right now have the best goalkeeper in the world with Ter Stegen. Courtois is injured. They have one of the best fullback duos in the world with Balde and Cancelo. They have an elite midfield options with Pedri, Gavi, Frenkie de Jong, Oriol Romeo, Gundogan. So many options of quality. And they have one of the best strikers with Lewandowski that has the support of João Felix that will make a difference. Barca are built different this season, and Xavi and Laporta deserve big credit for what they're doing in this team. I don't know if the people know, but Barca won 5-0 against Real Betis, and João Felix, the intelligence, and I said it, João Felix, best season at Benfica was with a pure striker in front of him that was Seferovic that scored more than 20 league goals. Now with Lewandowski, I know at left wing, Felix with Lewandowski as striker, that will be one of the best duos watching for pure entertainment and intelligence in full display. Watch Barca, and this is a new era. Right wing, is a spot that they have to improve. And I'm talking all this about Barca Breton, and Vitor Roque is going to be coming in January. Okay, and hopefully a new right winger too. Okay, very needed.
How about that dig that João Felix took at Chelsea after the fact, right? Just saying, it's amazing what you can do, and I'm paraphrasing here, but it's amazing what you can do when there's a club that actually has a structure, right? That has a particular playing style, that likes to circulate the ball faster and quick so that there's openings like that. And you can tell who he was talking to without actually naming names. But yeah, it's like we've always said, João Felix just needs to be happy and playing ball. And I think he's going to find himself a hell of a home at Barcelona, which he fought for. So he fought for that move.
And to see what Laporta and Xavi did in 2 years, the new references at Barca. Pedri was developing, but Pedri's now big time. Pedri, Gavi, Ronaldo Araújo, Balde, now Felix, Cancelo, Lewandowski, Gundogan, Frenkie de Jong, Ronaldo Araújo, Conde, Ter Stegen. These are lots of names that are staying at this club, and that will make them La Liga winners. I expect them to win La Liga this season. That's my prediction, and I expect them to beat Royal Antwerp too. And tell me if you agree with what I'm saying here with Barcelona in this Champions League video. But yeah, the next game, Shakhtar Donetsk of the same group against Porto. Porto, look, I think I'm going to stay for starters. I think Porto's going to win this game against Shakhtar.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not going to disagree with you. Actually, no, I am going to disagree with you. I'm going to say scrappy Shakhtar in Poland, even though they haven't played at home in what feels like years now. I think that Shakhtar will actually scrap out a draw in this one. I don't think Porto's firing on all cylinders yet. Do you?
I don't think they are. Marcano got injured too. That was a blow. That's a big blow. But I still think Porto, it's in the Champions League that they need to get these financial funds, okay? To do transfers like Ivan Jaime, Alan Varela, others, staying with Diogo Costa. I know Otavio left for 60 million. That is a big replacement that they'll have to do. But I think Porto with Sérgio Conceição, Champions League time, they took different. So that's why I'm going to go Porto. But let us know if you're agreeing or disagreeing in the comment section down below.
Yeah, well, and maybe Shakhtar for this game, just this game, can get Mikhailo Mudryk on loan from Chelsea so we can see the Georgi Sudikov, Mikhailo Mudryk connection that we all want to see again. But no, in all honesty, without joking, all joking aside, Sudikov is the one you want to watch on Shakhtar. Beyond obviously all the different players you want to watch on Porto. But Shakhtar, very, very terrible once again. Champions League campaign where they can't play in their own stadium. So I think they're going to be scrappy. I think they're going to get more points than most people give them credit for, and they might be able to scrap out third place. We'll see.
It's gonna be an interesting one, but I think third place would be positive after selling to Anatoly Trubin. I agree with you. Now, the Wednesday fixtures. Let's start here with a Galatasaray Copenhagen. A Galatasaray that now has Wilfried Zaha. They have Akim Ziyech. The first game, first assist too. Okay, watch this match because Ziyech is there. Mertens, so many interesting figures. And Icardi that is happy and can score mad number of goals. I think it was 22 goals in his last 24 games in the league last season. Okay, that is bold stats. So I'm going to go with Galatasaray beating Copenhagen.
Yeah, beating FC Wonder Kid. That's what we like to say. No, but I have two words beyond Icardi, beyond Zaha. It's Karamek Turkoglu. I really, really like this 24-year-old. He's a winger. He's already got 4 goals, 5 assists, and 10 appearances this season in all competitions. And I think he's got 3 goals and 3 assists in his last 4 league games. So Turkoglu is going to be the guy that is the glue for Galatasaray to beat FC Copenhagen. But hey, attention's going to have to be paid to all those names that you mentioned. And that's why I think, Galatasaray is somebody that needs to be given respect in Group A, especially after what we've seen and how much development Manchester United might have to do, but we'll talk about them in a second. So, Galatasaray, I think, is going to show off their chops, and I think they're going to beat up on FC Copenhagen, but it's going to be Turkoglu that you're going to want to watch moving forward.
I like that. I like that mention, too. He's a player to watch. I completely agree, and important for his national team. Like that shout. Now, you said it. Bayern Munich against Man United. Boy, oh boy, Man United. I already know, man. This is going to be Not a sad talk, but a realistic talk for what's happening. The Man United situation. I'm not going to put all blame at Erik ten Hag. I think he has a lot to blame for what's happening. The manager must be. But look, the Glazers, I think fundamentally are running this club the wrong way, and they have supported, yes, Erik ten Hag in a lot of transfers, but not enough in decisions that are like Mason Greenwood, Anthony, Sancho related, off the pitch. You need the support and you need to be fundamentally rigid and having the culture of the team. The culture that, look, Ronaldo said it, okay? Ronaldo, once again, hated for speaking the truth. The culture of Man United is not the same, just like Mourinho said in the past. They have to change the management at the top. How didn't the Glazers even speak to a legend like Cristiano Ronaldo? He said that in the interview. Poor management. So Erik ten Hag, let's see if he has the support. But if not, I do see him manage one day another big team. Let's see.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I think we're at the point where we're definitely using the Glazers as more of a clutch, like the evil behind the curtain or whatever you want to say. I agree that they're not who you want running the club moving forward, but there's enough talent in this United side, although they have injuries, that they should be beating Brighton at Old Trafford, or at least, scraping out a draw. So I do think Ten Hag gets more flack for this particular loss to Brighton because I think De Zerbi outclassed him. I think De Zerbi outcoached him. And I agree, he's dealing with some raw deals right now. And the Glazers didn't force whatever to happen or whatever transpired with Greenwood. They didn't force whatever transpired with Sancho. And they certainly didn't force their press to be completely ineffective against the Brighton side that was perfectly beatable. De Zerbi's great, but come on. You guys should be getting a point. So I agree with Man United supporters booing at Ten Hag for taking off Højlund, even if he is on a minutes restriction. But here, that's your silver lining. Højlund looked pretty dang good, in my opinion. He looked like he is ready to beat up on somebody. The only wish I have for Manchester United is that it was against Copenhagen or Galatasaray first, instead of losing at home and then having to go to the Allianz Arena. So, with that said, Bayern's beatable. Bayern is beatable. And I'm going to say Manchester United is going to be looking for a result. And if Ten Hag is the manager, if these guys are as pissed off as I think they are after that loss to Brighton, I really hope so. I think they're going to get a point at least, and that they could potentially upset Bayern at Allianz Arena. And guess what? I have absolutely no basis but pure gut feeling on me saying that. So I'm going to go in the middle. I'm going to split the middle, and I'm going to say Manchester United grabs a draw at the Allianz Arena.
I'm gonna be the devil in this for Man United fans. I completely disagree. I think Bayern Munich will completely outclass Man United. I think Casemiro's looking very poor form. The Man United team has a big problem. That is, if Højlund doesn't play, Martial plays. No options, okay? And you see a Man City team, an Arsenal team, even a Tottenham team, they seem like they have more options than them right now. An injury-prone team at Man United with Varane, with Luke Shaw, with Amrabat that was just signed. He's injury-prone, unfortunately. Mason Mount, they need solutions. And this Sancho situation with Anthony, I am very pessimistic. And even Maguire.
Tough.
I do understand that Maguire does get a lot of hate for wrong reasons, okay? But Maguire refused to leave Man United this summer. I know he believes that the best thing for Man United and him is to stay at Man United. But Man United fans, Erik ten Hag, I think they have a better judgment from this. Maguire, please leave the club. It's the best for everyone. The best for everyone. Yeah. You have more minutes for England than Man United. Okay? Stop. That's why you're getting just abused. Completely abused. You're one of the most watched players in the world, and Man United too. It's crazy for me what's happening with that. And Bayern against Leverkusen was the first game they dropped points this season, Breton. And Harry Kane has 4 games, 4 goals, and he knows how to score goals against Man United. And I think that will be the case. I am strong Man United in this game.
Okay, you're strong
Bayern.
against
Start
Manchester
Bayern.
United in this game.
Sorry.
You're strong Bayern in this game. Okay, all right. I was after all that, I was like, wait, what?
Oh, man.
No, and I
Got you.
agree. Like Harry Maguire is like waiting for his Richarlison moment. Yeah, it was great to see Richarlison get his little limelight after the comments. Whatever. We'll see if it's actually a consistency thing or something he can do consistently. But there is no easy like, hey, I'm just gonna like open the door and leave Manchester United. But yes, transfer window's closed. It's closed in Turkey now, I believe, too. It's closed in Saudi Arabia. It's closed in Qatar. So Harry Maguire ain't going anywhere anytime soon. So there's going to be a lot more abuse to come, or he'll have his Richarlison moment. We'll see.
Sancho.
But my goodness.
Sancho has to leave
Sancho.
Man United for the disrespect that is happening with Erik ten Hag. Or it's Sancho, or it's Erik ten Hag. I hope Erik ten Hag is the choice of the majority of the Man United fans, because Mourinho didn't have the support, in the past that ten Hag had. And he managed to get a second place and a Europa League for this team, Jose Mourinho. But see this, mate. Sancho, the numbers of Sancho at Man United. In 2021-2022, Sancho had 38 games, 5 goals, 3 assists. After that, in 22-23, he had 41 games, 7 goals, 3 assists. These are these are horrible numbers for what he has been bought to do, and they need a different player, okay? Or it's Sancho or it's Ten Hag. Tell us what you think.
Yeah.
And in the Premier League, Erik ten Hag and Man United in their last 5 games, they have 3 losses. That is a horrible record, okay? And losing,
Not only
horrible.
Yeah, not only that, they've lost to Brighton the last 4 times. 4 times.
Ooh.
Right?
That's a tough one, too,
I
mate.
believe that's correct. I have to double check that, but like they've also lost twice at Old Trafford, right? 2 times in a row to Brighton, and we'll talk about Brighton a little bit later on once we get through the Champions Leagues. But I'm with you. But when this is the time, I mean, for Ten Hag to try and make I don't know the proper analogy here. Somebody that's better with their words could come up with it. But sifting through the chaos and getting results, that's what a manager should be able to do. But yeah, the deck is seemingly stacked against him at this moment with all the infighting and I don't know. Just focus on the football. Play the right thing. If there were things he could have done against De Serbi, and I'm not a tactical genius. I am nowhere close to that. And in fact, that's my weak point when it comes to football. But even I was saying, do something, change something up, and he did nothing against Brighton. He just laid down and took it when De Serbi, was cooking. So it'll be interesting to see. I think that this is a massive, massive fixture. If you get something out of this, you give hope. And maybe this could be that turning point because they still have enough, even with their injuries, they should have enough to get results, to get through this group and to, I don't know, actually win in the Premier League.
They should get through this group. I agree with you. I think if Galatasaray managed to do that, that would be crazy. But tell us down below your expectations for the Bayern Munich against Man United games and the other fixtures we're mentioning. Real Madrid, Union Berlin. I think Real Madrid are going to be winning this game, but I want to say it's disrespectful that Vinicius Junior is not nominated for the FIFA Best Award. I do not know who makes this the final decision, but look, even Infantino, man, don't let this slide, man. Don't let this slide. A player like Vinicius Junior that hands down, if who knows ball knows he's at least top 10, Vinicius Junior, for what he has done for Real Madrid. He's been racially abused over the last year. He is suffering in so many angles. FIFA Best Award should demonstrate the support that shows what he's doing in football. Disrespectful, and I'm going to go with Real Madrid big time, with Vinicius Junior.
Yeah.
Look, if he manages to come back in time, look, I just wanted to say that, though. But Bellingham scoring against Union Berlin, I'm going Real Madrid.
Yeah, you're leading La Liga goal scorer, Jude Bellingham. No, and I'm going to go with you here. I'm going to say Real Madrid, even with all their absences and injuries, I think they'll be fine here. Union Berlin, I'm not going to say that they've been found out, but they obviously don't look as tidy. They aren't getting the same fortunate, XG outperformance that they did last season so far this season. But again, the story and how far Union Berlin has come to even get to this moment in time deserves a look. So do yourself a favor. We don't have time here to go into it. Look at what Union Berlin has done over the last 3-4 years before they likely get trounced by Real Madrid. But still, amazing story.
It's an amazing
in and
story.
of itself.
It's true, and Union Berlin will be fighting with Braga that we keep mentioning for the Europa League position, most possibly. And this will be Braga at home against Napoli. Very interesting to see. But what do you reckon is going to happen here, Brett?
Well, what happened this weekend? What happened this weekend? Braga unceremoniously got. Yeah, that was a little bit shocking to me because here I was ready. I mean, this ain't the Napoli from last season yet. Napoli has looked relatively toothless, but they have Victor Osimhen. But I don't think there's an upset in the cards here. I think it's going to be Osimhen, and it might not be Kvaratskhelia. It might be I don't know who else. Somebody else. But I think Napoli is going to get by Braga relatively comfortably. But do you feel, I mean, you got to throw some sort of a side ball or a curveball at me here. Do you think Braga has what it takes to upset Napoli?
I think, look, I think Napoli are sure favorites, okay, even though they're playing away. I think Braga will want to impress, okay, in the Champions League. But what I got to say for people at home is pay attention to Ricardo Horta, okay, a player that is called up for Portugal against Napoli and for Al Musrati, okay? Al Musrati is a Libyan baller, and I'm sure if he was English, Brazilian, even Portuguese, maybe he would be getting a lot more love. So pay attention to this player, but I don't think that Braga will be winning. But let's see. I'm going Napoli with you too. Sevilla Lens, okay, another team that Lens, what is happening this season at Lens? I think they have the same number of defeats that they had the whole entirety of last season already at the start of the season. That is a mad stat for a team that had Openda, a team that had Sekou Fofana, a team that inspired a lot of people to watch them play football. So what's happening?
It's tough. They even held on to the majority of their defense too, which was one of their best attributes or their best components last season. But very clearly, like Eli Wahi hasn't done anything just yet for Lyon. They're bad in Lyon, and I have a feeling that Sevilla will be able to get by them too. But Sevilla is not exactly covering themselves in glory either. But it is Sevilla at home, so I will pick Sevilla. And I think El Naziri, if he's, I don't even know, is he healthy? I really haven't seen him on the score sheet or anything of that nature. But if he's healthy, he will wind up on the score sheet against this one. But like, Lyon are just terrible so far this season, but Sevilla has lost to Valencia, Alaves, and Girona. So this is like the toilet bowl of Champions League fixtures so far. So we'll see if it gets better for these two, I'd say, outside. Well, no, you like Sevilla to get through in this group, don't you?
Well,
you do.
I do think Sevilla will be in a European competition in February. That's the way I see it. So I think most likely they'll be winning this game against Lens, even though they're both in terrible form. I'm going to be going with two. I'm going to go with Sevilla winning this match. But let us know until now if you're agreeing, and make sure you like this video too. So last three fixtures here. This is going to be an interesting one. Let's start here with the London one first. Arsenal against PSV. Champions League is back in London with Arteta leading the way, with Martin Odegaard, Bukayo Saka, that is one of the best English players, and a special inspired team that can prove something and learn definitely a lot in this Champions League this season. And Arsenal are Premier League contenders right now. So it's an interesting fixture to see. I'm going to go Arsenal with PSV.
Okay, and I will go with Arsenal as well, but we actually have a blueprint to pull from. Last year in the Europa League, they played each other. Arsenal won at home. PSV won at home. So they split the difference, believe it or not. But yeah, exactly. But at the Emirates last season, right? PSV had Sangare, he's gone. Cody Gakpo, he's gone. Xavi Simons, he's gone. Noni Madueke, he's gone. But other guys have come in. First off, Luke de Jong is in ridiculous form. Ricardo Pepi got a goal and got in a fight with Irving Lozano to fight for that penalty at the end of that game over the weekend, which is something you want to see. And Joey Veerman is another guy that I'll continue to talk about. He is the glue that holds this team together. He doesn't get enough love, and frankly, he should be on, no offense to PSV, but he should be on a bigger team, if not this coming season, definitely the next one. But PSV are unbeaten in their last 20 league games, but guess what? League games don't mean anything in the Champions League, and this is Arsenal, and this is the Emirates. So I do also have Arsenal winning, but I think it's going to be a very close affair. And I think you're going to see Johan Bakayoko put on a little bit of a. He's gonna expose those flanks. He's going to expose the Arsenal flanks once or twice.
No Sergino Dest and all that.
I know. Well, look at me. Serginho Dest is playing really, really well for PSV, and you're right. I should have shouted that out. I absolutely should have shouted that out. Serginho Dest, for him to come in and then start him right away, I'm just happy to see him play ball again. And for a team that I think is going to be up there with Feyenoord at the end of the season, fighting for an Eredivisie title, it is just great to see Dest getting his playing time. And you got Malik Tillman, who hasn't yet quite gotten a go of it at PSV. So, yeah, we've got some American bias on PSV Eindhoven, but if we're just talking about Joey Veerman and Luke de Jong right now, that's enough to at least potentially get a goal at the Emirates if for some reason Arsenal's not tidy, but Arsenal's winning this game. I'm going to say 3-1.
And hopefully Arsenal will be starting Fabio Vieira, that is seemingly working out better than playing Havertz. I think that. And we see an interesting thing with the goalkeeping situation with Aaron Ramsdale and David Raya. Let us know, who do you think will start for Arsenal against PSV? That's an interesting one. Okay, now Real Sociedad Inter. Inter, a team that beats 5-1 AC Milan, a team that is fully inspired. And Inzaghi with Inter hasn't. Of course, Inzaghi with Inter has 4 games, 4 wins, 12 goals scored, 1 suffered right now. They have Bastoni that has remained at that team, Barella, Lautaro, Dumfries, Di Marco at fullbacks. This is a ridiculous team that we have to pay attention. And look, they went to a Champions League final last season. They can definitely eliminate a tough team in the knockout stages. So I will be going with Inter, even though Real Sociedad will be a difficult team. But I really think what Inter are doing, Mkhitaryan, a brace. Then you have like Sanyanoglu. Then you have like so many shrewd deals that are making sense. I cannot go against Inter, man. They're San Sebastian, get ready, man.
Yeah, and the crazy thing here is that Milan derby that they just won and basically wiped the floor with AC Milan, that didn't even really involve Lautaro Martinez. So I think he's itching to get a few goals, just meaning that he wasn't even needed because Henrik Mkhitaryan decided to turn back the clock and have the best performance in an Inter shirt in a very long time. So I think I'm going to say it. Lautaro Martinez scores 2 goals and they beat Real Sociedad, but I think Takefusa Kubo has an assist and I think it's 2-1. They win away. Inter.
But Lautaro has 5 goals and 2 assists this season, okay? Interesting and great duo partnership with Thuram, okay, that has 2 goals and 2 assists too. And Arnautovic in the mix too, okay? They had Dzeko and Lukaku last season. So these aren't bad replacements.
I have to apologize to you because, I did. I said some negative words, I guess, about the Marcus Thuram replacing Lukaku type of situation. My goodness, that was we'll see if it continues to happen, but what a nice goal that he had in that derby. So, I'm ready to eat crow if Inter keeps deciding that they want to keep this win streak alive, but Inzaghi has them buzzing. So
and remember when Thuram was going to play Inter with Borussia Mönchengladbach, and they didn't even let him go in the stadium because they didn't recognize who he was. You have to show a picture from Google. So from going to that to now being one of the players and star players of Inter, boy, oh boy. But you said Kubu. I want to ask you this in this podcast about Kubu. Mm-hmm. What do you think is going to happen to Kubu next season? Do you think Real Madrid will make the decision to buy Kubu, which will cost Real Madrid 33 million? Or do you think Kubo will be bought for his release clause and Real Madrid will be getting 27 million for that deal?
Yeah. Oh. I don't think he fits in at Real Madrid.
They'll sell him for 27.
So they'd be smart.
We've
I think they'd be smart.
We've seen Theo.
Yeah.
We've seen Odegaard. Mm-hmm. That can happen too. Mm-hmm. I agree with you, Breton.
Yeah. I think they should cash in on him because I don't think he's going to... he's been really good for Real Sociedad, but I don't know if he's ready to be really good for Real Madrid.
It's a doubt, but let us know what you think, people. Would you sell or would you buy Takefusa Kubo? Okay, with Mbappe next summer.
Good question.
It's as it seems. But last but not least, here in Lisbon. Roko Simic is coming to Lisbon. Very interesting to see what's going to happen. Benfica against Red Bull Salzburg. Salzburg, that is always a team to watch, Wonder Kids. Oscar Glock too, Israeli and Cam, very interesting player. But look, I'm going to be going with Benfica. I think Di Maria is going to be having an assist at least, and to help becoming the all-time top assister in Champions League history, that he has 38 right now, and he'll need 42 to become number 1. That he'll do this season, Di Maria. So, Benfica.
Yeah. And this is the Estadio da Luz, right? I just don't see Salzburg getting it done, even as much of me just being FC Wonder Kid, whatever. I love the names you just mentioned. I'll even add Luka Susic is back, and he is playing ball. Again, I'll add Samson Baidu is going to be a center back that a lot of teams are going to be chasing. But I also don't think that they've been to the Estadio da Luz yet. And I have a feeling Benfica is going to outclass them there. But we'll see what they do away, because Salzburg is pretty good at getting points when they're at home, and sometimes that's enough to get you through, except when you have Inter as the one you're fighting for, and Real Sociedad. Like, this is the baby group of death, I guess. But I love this matchup, and this is definitely one that I've got circled to watch in its entirety. But I think Benfica is going to be a little too hard to beat here. They're too good right now.
You agree with me, so with Benfica. But what a video it was. And if you're listening until now, let us know in the comment section, okay? And with all your predictions, okay, of this video of game week 1 of the Champions League. Champions League is back. And look, go bold and let us know what do you think in the comment section too. A Champions League without Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi too. That will be interesting to see what's going to happen in the future now. But we said so. We talked about Brighton. And look, Brighton deserve a special mention in this podcast, because the Brighton team that went against Man United, okay, had a value. What was the value of this team, Breton? 18.2 million. Was the value of how much Brighton spent in order to have the lineup that played against Man United. 18.2 million. Players like Mitoma, players like Pascal Gross, both cost 3 million. Like, what is this? Elite deals nonstop. And Adingra, 8 million. That will be a bargain. Another one that bites the dust, and he's going to be sold for a big piece too, as it seems. Adingra.
and Lewis the goat dunk, right?
Yeah.
No, listen, Pascal Gross, for 3 million is just absolutely ridiculous. He's a Swiss Army knife for them. He's like their pressure valve, and he also apparently is Manchester United's boogeyman. He has 7 goals in 11 appearances against Manchester United. And this guy can play fullback, he can play midfield, he can play wing, he can play whatever the heck you need him to do. Just put him on the field and he'll do something relatively useful. And then to see what they had coming off the bench too. Ansu Fati got his first moments. João Pedro wound up providing the dagger in this game. And once again, like, Brighton just looked the better team. They did. They looked the better team. And then you realized they're not doing this at the Amex. They're doing it at Old Trafford. Again. And that in and of itself has got to get Ten Hag fired up beyond belief. I don't know. I want to hear more from Manchester United supporters about, beyond the whole Glazer effect, because it's not getting dealt with anytime soon. What can be done for Ten Hag? I mean specifics. Like, give me a business plan, right? What are you going to do with Sancho? What are you going to do with?
It can't be beyond the Glazers, because Graham
Potter. Well, then why did Ten Hag take the job in the first place?
Because Graham Potter left to Chelsea, and Brighton made the business decision to get the Serbi, which was a valuable one. And like, I think the Glazers need to own up more towards what their investment is happening. Like, sell it.
But they're not going to.
Sell it.
Yeah,
like,
they're not going to. They've already made their money.
Yeah. Then, as it seems now, Man United fans, they're just going crazy. And something that the Glazers are pointed fingers a lot. FSG, as it seems, they invested big time. And I think another midfielder still needs to come. But Liverpool, as it seems at this beginning of the season, Liverpool are title contenders next to Arsenal and next to Man City, in my point of view. A dark horse at Tottenham, you never know. But Klopp made the hard decision of, like, letting go of Hendo and now trusting a Szoboszlai, now trusting McAllister. And that ain't easy. A total rebuild. No. And Jurgen Klopp is the manager to beat Pep Guardiola or even Arteta to this Premier League season. That's the level that we expect. And I want to say special, I want to say praise. Mohamed Salah, respect for the loyalty and the commitment that you have showed towards Liverpool. He had a hat-trick of assists against Wolves, and Salah will be remembered as one of the best wingers in Premier League history for the talent that he has and the consistency. Yep. Ridiculous. Thank you, Mohamed Salah, for everything that you're doing in the Premier League and in Liverpool too. I have to give a special shout out to him. He refused to get 1.5 million a week at Al Ittihad this summer.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely insane. And they're going to come back. They're coming back for him. Don't next summer, and at some point it will make sense for Liverpool to let him go for that type of money. But listen, I feel like this particular fixture, this Liverpool Wolves won the first half. Liverpool fought back. This was all Jurgen Klopp, right? Jurgen Klopp made some tough decisions. Alexis McAllister, I'm going to say it right now, I'm a massive fan of him. I don't think he's been that great since he's joined Liverpool, and he certainly wasn't great in this particular game. So he sacrificed McAllister, brought in Luis Diaz. Luis Diaz, massive amounts of energy, bundle of joy. He was wonderful to watch, right? And Darwin Núñez as well, very frenetic and everything like that. And I just think Klopp knew what was happening and knew how to fix it, and that is exactly what Klopp is doing, and that's why they are unbeaten. I believe they're second in the table to City, if I'm not wrong, right? Mm-hmm. And on top of that, they're doing it all with a makeshift defense. Konate's injured. Matip recently injured. Van Dijk injured. You had Jarell Quansah in there as a debutant. You have Joe Gomez, who's played center back and he's played right back. He's played everywhere. He's doing it with a makeshift defense. And he got what he needed in this one. This showed you that Klopp is still with it, that last season did not burn him out, did not destroy him, and that, they are serious, especially if they can get some of these injuries back. But Szoboszlai, first half, anonymous. Second half, everywhere. And it was great to see.
And you're saying first half and second, the biggest shout out I want to give to is to Wolves with Pedro Neto that had a great first half. And João Gomes. Pay attention to João Gomes. Very interesting player at Wolves, and even Lemina too, that I think he got a standing ovation when he was substituted because the fans recognize the talent that he has. Okay, and he's not the one to blame at this Wolves team. But the one to blame, as it was last season, as it seems, was Antonio Conte at Tottenham. And now it's not the case. Tottenham have 13 points in 15 possible. 4 wins, 1 draw, a brand new defense, and a team that does a inspired remontada of 2 goals in under 5 minutes to beat Sheffield. A tough win, but a win that inspires a new group without Harry Kane. Ange Postecoglou, the only manager next to Pep Guardiola in the Premier League to be nominated for the FIFA Men's Best Manager. Okay, so this is something interesting to note.
A bit of a shocking nomination there, let's be honest, but still, he is architected somehow. It's definitely not through sheer football genius. It's more straight man management, right? It's more providing value to everybody on the team, and having them motivated to prove themselves. But listen, this is the latest comeback, the latest remontada in Premier League history, and that in doing so and flipping that script on Sheffield United, right? On flipping that script, they have managed to have their best start to a Premier League season since 1965. 1965.
And Richarlison even scored 2. Love to see that. The unity of that group. How did the group react to that goal? Son, Maddison, everyone happy. And look, the Tottenham defense. Gotta shout out that Tottenham defense. A Tottenham defense that signed Vuskovic from Ajax Split. That was one of the best players in the youth league. So now you have Udogi, Porro, Mickey van de Ven, Romero leading this new defense. A defense that has huge potential to succeed. I am excited for the future, mate.
You think, I know Harry Kane will likely lift a Bundesliga trophy by the end of the season, but you think he's even mildly mildly like jealous of
No,
what's going on, of all that camaraderie, all
no,
that
no, no.
icky nice stuff. No, but listen, Big Ange afterwards, he was like asked whether or not he should be tempering supporters' expectations. And he said, no, that's football.
Yeah.
Football is run with your imagination. Let's see what can happen. Ultimately, it's all about the highs and it's all about the lows and it's all about supporters. And I'm going to do my best to make sure that the highs last as long. And again, I'm paraphrasing. This is not word for word, but it is just wonderful to see kind of a different take on things and how it is affecting this team. And I think that they can get even better. I mean, hell, if Richarlison continues to score, that's great, but it is great for him considering how in shambles he was mentally after that international window with Brazil. I mean, he was saying he was going to come back and go to a therapist, and hopefully he did. I don't know if he did it before this game, but he was the architect here. Kulusevski's playing good again. And, okay, maybe there might have been a little bit of luck involved, but this is important to understand. This is the best start in 58 years in Premier League history, or I'm sorry, in Tottenham's Premier League history. And that in and of itself is something to hang at least your early season hat on. We'll see if it continues. But hey, it was like, that was not the only one, right? Because you had Spurs doing this, and then you had Aston Villa doing the exact same thing to Palace. They were, I think it was the 87th minute, John Duran scored, equalized, and then they scored 2 goals in the 98th and the 101st minute, and they won 3-1. So, I mean, 2 ridiculous remontadas in one weekend that if you weren't watching, well, let's be honest. I mean, that's why Premier League is a very, very entertaining football league to watch, because I enjoyed the hell out of myself this weekend, even while prepping.
It's a unique team. It's a unique league, Breton, because only the Premier League has a team that spends 1 billion and looks the way it does.
Gosh.
Okay, Chelsea, only win this season has been against Luton, 20th position. Chelsea right now, their injury list is absolutely insane. Something like a voodoo curse must be in the mix with this. I cannot believe that Reece James, Wesley Fofana, Caicedo, Chukwueze, Chukwuemeka, Nkunku, Lavia, Caicedo.
Yep.
Like, how many injured players are they at Chelsea? This is a mad stat. And this is definitely something that is not helping players like Enzo perform in this club. Cole Palmer came on from the bench, and he was one of the best players seen. And I want to say Mudryk looked so bad, mate, against Bournemouth. The 0-0 game shows that something needs to change, and more importantly, too, at striker. Nicholas Jackson, that wasn't a good performance, too, by him. They need inspiration and something different, and Nkunku, please come back, man. If there's no Nkunku, there's no goals.
I know, but listen, you have all the money in the world, and you have owner that wants to literally buy anything that breathes. Okay. Promising. Everyone they bought is incredibly promising. Enzo and Moises Caicedo were brought in to literally be massive improvements from day one. And the only one that impressed in Chelsea versus Bournemouth was Robert Sanchez. And even he's already had his issues after taking over the one. But listen, I think I almost have to potentially adjust my 8th place prediction down because statistics are not on their side here. They have 14 goals in their last 16 league games, stretching back to last year. That's terrible. And they've scored the fewest goals through 5 Premier League games in their history, and they've done this 2 times before. They've got 5 goals in 5 games. They've done this 2 other times in history, Chelsea has, and they have finished bottom half of the table both of those times. Both of those times. And I don't, I'm not one for saying that it's automatically going to happen, but I blame Pochettino in this particular game should still be able to get the win against Bournemouth. And I think he came out all wrong against this team. Cole Palmer should have been starting to begin with. Put people in there that actually have that bone in their body, that urgency in their body that wants to get something done. Sterling, relatively lost. Nicholas Jackson, at least he hit the post, but then he also whiffed on one of those other ones. There's just a lot going on here that I think is self-inflicted. They still have the talent to beat Bournemouth. Credit to Bournemouth. they need a win and they don't have one. But listen, Chelsea it's relatively self-inflicted, and you can't just blame the injuries because they bought Nkunku when he was injured. He came back, and it's not necessarily surprising that he's injured again.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. And like, that's who you're hanging your hat on? That's who your savior is? You had a blank check to buy a team, to buy a striker that is guaranteed to give you 15 goals, 20 goals in the Premier League. You didn't. You decided against it.
It's true.
I don't understand that
at
all. And we're talking as FC Wonder Kid. We loved, in the beginning, this transfer window. Some of these might even pan out. But none of these buys, save for maybe 2, were ones that made Chelsea better from the get-go. And that makes no sense to me.
Exactly. Enzo will not improve Chelsea if he doesn't have a midfielder always playing around him. And Caicedo and Lavia both are injured. That is absolutely mad. And I agree with you, Cole Palmer has to be starting from the future in the get-go. And the last question on my side is, who do you think will get sacked first? Erik ten Hag or Pochettino? Or if they're going to get sacked this season?
I don't know. I feel like you can't right now. I mean, I think Pochettino, whatever. I feel like there's revisionist history here going on. I didn't speak out enough against Pochettino. So I have no standing to say it's going to be him. But once again, like, who do you bring in?
I think
if not him?
If Pochettino leaves
thing.
Chelsea, I think Chelsea gets or Ruben Amorim from Sporting or De Zerbi from Brighton. I think they'll try everything to get De Zerbi from Brighton. We've seen Graham Potter, and we know that Todd Boehly tends to repeat his history once he signed those players. Cucurella, Caicedo, he likes Brighton, and De Zerbi in 1 year, look what he's doing. I think that could happen, mate. So let us know what
for Brighton's sake.
And two, like Chelsea could be becoming minority owners of Sporting. Let's see if that's going to be happening. That's a bit of news that was happening here in Portugal. Let us know what you think about the Premier League down below, and make sure you like episode 123 if you're listening until now. But yes, this is going to be a big boy topic, especially if you're from the US. Messi isn't there. Inter Miami don't win. No shocker, as it should be. Okay, from my point of view, as a European watching MLS, and Inter Miami with Messi in their last 12 games, they were unbeaten. The moment he goes, they lose 5-2. 5-2. Messi that won 4-0 against Atalanta United in the League's Cup and scored 2 goals. Messi elevates the level of everyone around him. No surprise of that. And Busquets didn't look good. Alba didn't look good. Alba, no, but Busquets more on that.
No,
and
Alba
I don't
did not
blame
play.
him. I don't. Exactly. Busquets. So I don't blame Busquets for that game. But yeah, it's just.
No. I mean, this is Major League Soccer. In the sense of the salary constraints, when it comes down to it, at some point will expose some hole in your roster. If you get it good, right? You have a very even team all across the board, like some of the best LAFC teams that have been out there, some of the best Seattle Sounder teams. The Philadelphia Union have got like a nice little experiment going on here. But yeah, if you remove one of your big stars from the equation, you need to have everybody else kind of step up. Now, they went up to Atlanta United, okay? They went up to Atlanta United, a team that they beat at home, 4-0 or 3-0 the last time? Yeah, during League's Cup. And Atlanta United have one of the most rabid fan bases that has been flagging for a little bit as they try and find themselves post, guess who? Tata Martino, who is the current Inter Miami coach. They won MLS Cup, and they've had a tough time coming back to that type of like echelon. But
with
71,000 people.
With Almiron and Martinez.
Who got a hero's welcome. Joseph Martinez got a hero's welcome, as he well should, at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. But listen, 71,000 people showed up not just to see Atlanta United. They showed up to see Leo Messi. And yes, he deserves a rest. Yes, if he has muscle fatigue and he cannot play the game in La Paz in Bolivia that Argentina won, which is a World Cup qualifier, then he probably shouldn't be playing on turf at the Benz. Okay? If you want him to be ready for Open Cup final, I get the Tata Martino decision. With that said, they're 7 points behind with, I think, 7 games left, 2 games in hand to DC United. And I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. He might have to miss another game because they play Wednesday and they play, I believe, again over the weekend before then they play the U.S. Open Cup final. So I'm going to say something that's probably counter to anyone out there that's a Messi supporter, which I love Messi. This is nothing against him. I think with this roster construction, it might be a blessing in disguise this season if they do not make MLS Cup playoffs and they focus on winning Open Cup, winning Leagues Cup, because that sets you up with a healthy Messi, hopefully, healthy Alba, healthy Busquets for one more season together for them to run riot on Major League Soccer next season. With that said, I doubt Messi's going to be like, oh, I'm just like not going to play the last 7 games of the season. He's going to go all in. But it ain't his fault that Phil Neville and Inter Miami got into this ridiculous hole to start the season. They've only passed one team.
This is,
since he's gotten in.
I want to say this, mate. I think Messi and Busquets and Inter Miami, ever since he's played, I think he's destroyed the league. He's destroyed the league, and I think everyone around him has improved. I think this game against Nashville, which he was scoreless, Messi, was because of fatigue. I completely agree with what you're saying, but mate, I think Messi will be reaching the MLS finals with this Inter Miami team because he wants to make a big impression from the start. That's why they brought Messi, and Messi is the greatest player ever, okay, to play in the MLS, no doubts, and one of the greatest to play in football in the history of this game. So I cannot. Even Campagna scored a worldie, and Campagna is a player that is talked now because of this man. Like the fact that Messi didn't play against Atlanta United, like playing football in the past, having a player that is a star player in the locker room, looking at you saying, are you prepared? Are you focused? Are you mentally ready for what's going to come? They weren't Inter Miami against Atlanta United because Messi wasn't there. He wasn't involved in the pitch. That's why he didn't make that difference.
But that might, and I have to give Jordi Alba credit too, because I feel like he was not as big of a miss as Lionel Messi, but he was missing. He was definitely missing. He's humongous in that attack. But one thing is for sure, I mean, that defense is terrible. And Atlanta United, Messi, and Kamal Miller, who normally does not have howlers like that, did have a howler on the day. So give him that benefit of the doubt. But when it comes to it, without Messi driving the attack, offense is the best defense type of situation. I understand it was Thiago Almada, his teammate, his World Cup champion teammate, somebody that obviously idolizes Messi, that wound up with 15 assists this season in Major League Soccer. He wound up literally pulling out the same card against Inter Miami. It was offense is the best defense against a Messi-less Inter Miami, and they were ruthless. Every chance they could get, they push forward. They scored 3 goals in 8 minutes. I mean, that is unheard of, and it shows that there's a glaring hole in that Miami defense. So it's going to be really, really interesting whether or not that changes tactics. They didn't have respect for Messi because there was no Messi there to have respect. This will not be the last game that Messi misses this season. It will not.
I agree.
They have 7 plus, but plus if you go to MLS Cup, that's what? Might be like another 6 or 7 games, depending on if they get into play-in, right? If they do the play-in. So, and an Open Cup final. So you're talking about 14, 15 games in probably, 50 days.
But
right?
still, even though of this result, I still believe right now, even Messi being out in some games, I believe Inter Miami will be reaching the playoffs, and I still believe that Inter Miami are definitely one of the favorites to win the MLS right now with Lionel Messi. I don't see any team one-on-one with Busquets, Alba, and Messi on the pitch. Campagna, Martinez available. Like Benjamin Kramowski improving with Messi next to him. Like the team looks much better than everyone around them. No one can beat them, mate.
If you have everybody healthy, but you just mentioned that it's all down to whether or not all 3 of the players, because clearly it's not just Busquets. It's whether or not it's Alba, Busquets, and Lionel Messi on the pitch for Inter Miami. And I'm just saying that it's a lot with the amount of fixture congestion. Yes, I know they're used to it. They've done it before, but they're not 24 anymore. Yes, Messi's out with muscle fatigue. He would have played if he could have. He would have gone there if he could have. It would have been nice, actually, for him to go to Atlanta United. Well, imagine if you went to Atlanta United and, waved to the fans. right? That would have been pretty cool, right? But listen, no, I'm not betting against Miami.
No.
I agree that if they make it to the playoffs and there's a big hole that they have to dig out of. If they make it to the playoffs, you're absolutely right. They are a favorite if Messi stays healthy.
Do you think they're going to get to the playoffs?
Alba and Busquets.
Do you think Inter Miami will be getting to the playoffs?
No.
Why?
Yeah, no. I think and it's not Messi's fault. They're going to have to win out. Right? They don't have to win out, but they are going to have to be relatively flawless from here on out. And by flawless, I mean they're going to have to literally be physically flawless from here on out. And they have a game Wednesday. They got a game Saturday or Sunday. They got another game, the Open Cup final, which I think they'll win against Houston, which is amazing for your first half a year, right? Not even half a year at the club. So yeah, it's more so the hole that was dug by the previous tenure of Phil Neville and the squad. They're just starting, hopefully, right? Hopefully Messi's going to be here for more than 6 months and more than a half a season, right? I think they are massive favorites next season if you keep all three of them and you build on this and you give more time to Facundo Farias and you give more time to the young guys to kind of transition into this league. So I agree that if they make the playoffs, they are favorites, but I think that the hole might be too deep for them to make the playoffs with the amount of time that they'll need to be at their razor sharpness from here on out. And I know, like, Messi's already missed a game, guys. I don't know what you want to he's a human. He's a human with muscle fatigue. I don't know what to tell you.
So they're the best humans that has ever touched the turf of a football pitch in the MLS, no doubt to me. And I'm going to take the other side. I'm going to say Messi is one of the favorites. Messi that was won the League's Cup in such a short period of time, a contender to win the Open Cup too, and let's wait and see if everything's gonna happen. Let us know down below your opinion, okay? And like this video for more topics of the MLS just like this. Will Messi reach the MLS playoffs? Will they win? Do you believe they will win? And who will beat them too? If you're saying that they're not winning, I want to know who do you think is going to beat this team. Very interesting to know. Let us know down below. But we wanted to talk here about a phenom too in the podcast, something that has, for FC Wonderkid fans, has touched us by surprise, okay? And it's not just Verratti that is going to Qatar, right, Breton?
You're right. Not just Verratti, not just Coutinho. The average age of a bunch of the other high-profile or close to high-profile signings, it's a different tack than Saudi Arabia, but the average age is 21 years old. I just did not give it enough attention because all of the high-profile names going to Saudi Arabia kept me at bay from looking at it. And I don't know what Qatar's agenda is except building their league with young, really good players and a few star players that want to go there. But listen, I mentioned in a couple podcasts ago that when Gabri Vega was signed, I felt like that was the first one that I looked at and I said, holy crap, in Saudi Arabia. Well, I'm going to say the same about Fabricio Diaz, the U20 captain for Uruguay, who just won the U20 World Cup, signing for a very paltry sum of like 6-7 million euros, signing at El Garafa. And on top of that, they signed Seydou Sano, who happened to be the AFCON winner with the Senegalese U20s as well. So you have my attention, Qatar. That's all I have to say, because you can go through all of their teams. Al Rayyan signed Gabriel Pereira for 10 million from NYCFC and Andre Amaro from Vitoria. Ibrahima Diallo from Southampton and Ibra Bamba from Vitoria are at Al Duhail. I'm sorry if I'm getting these names wrong. Giovanni and Gonzalo Plata. Giovanni from Palmeiras, 19 years old. He's at Al Sadd, which I believe is the most winning team in Qatari history. And then you have a couple others. You've got Simo Kadari from Espanyol, who is one of their top prospects, signing for Al Arabi, joining Verratti there. So no, this is not at the scale and the scope of Saudi Arabia. This does not have that 20, 30, $20 billion or whatever those numbers are we saw. But man, it is enough to get my attention. They might not care about that. But this is a strategy I can get behind. It's just whether or not, Alex, do you think that in signing these players, do you think that they will stay long enough to grow with the Qatari Stars League, or do you think it's like, hey,
Mhm.
1-2 years here, get my payday, and I'm back to UEFA land?
I think Qatar knows what's going to happen in the next 3 to 5 years in football, honestly, Breton. I think these
Okay.
signings that we're seeing are better signings than a lot of other countries that have their own leagues. In a Croatian
Interesting.
league, you don't see these type of signings. And I
Yeah.
don't know, there's a lot of like if Romanian league, Croatian league, so many leagues that have historic teams, Serbian league. They can't spend
Yep.
to get a Ibrahima Bamba and Andrea Maru. That was two at
Yeah.
Vitória Guimarães that I quite know really well. Great center back signings. And you said Fabricio Dias, a star player in the Under 20 World Cup. That is
Huge.
huge, Breton. But I think the plan is for them to be contending in the AFC Champions League and to be with a better national team too. Qatar looked horrible in
Yeah.
their own World Cup in their own nation. I think they were the first host nation to be knocked out in the first 2 games, okay, or to look as bad as they did. I can't remember a host nation to look as bad as they did. And they had a creme fif. They had promising names. Pedro Miguel, right back, I remember. All good times with the World Cup. But I think they know that they have to elevate their own league in order to elevate the status quo of players, Qatari players. So I see that as a consequence to improve in the future. But it's bold.
And it is bold. It is bold. I am comfortable saying that. And listen, if you're skeptical about the Saudi Pro League, if you're skeptical about the Qatari Stars League, you mentioned something earlier, and that's what I'm going to definitely be watching because it includes a massive swath of football that we don't generally talk or hear about, at least in the Western Hemisphere. And that will be that AFC Champions League. I'm watching that. Because I would love to see, I'd love to see Fabricio Diaz from Al Gharafa, right, go up against, Cristiano Ronaldo and Al Nassr.
Exactly.
And Al Nassr, yeah. I mean, or a J League team where some of these guys like Matoma came from. They've all come from somewhere, and to know more about these teams or to know more about the K League is something that I 100% invite all across what is a massive population center, but also a massive footballing center that has not even remotely scraped the surface of what they can build. So yeah, we can talk about the politics of it. That's not what FC Wonder Kid is for. But Qatar, you got my attention, bringing in Wonder Kid after Wonder Kid, and I'm here for it, and I'm going to be watching from here on out.
And the AFC Champions League, like you mentioned with Cristiano Ronaldo, he'll be having his debut on Tuesday, and if he doesn't lose that match, if Cristiano Ronaldo wins or draws on Tuesday in his debut in the AFC Champions League, he will have his 1,000th game unbeaten. It's not 1,000th game unbeaten, man. That's
what?
Ridiculous, mate. Okay, with wins and draws. If that happens. So it's always a reason to tune in and now see a new part of the hemisphere with football too. Do you have any last shouts in the podcast, Breton? Because I want to say on my end about Bayer Leverkusen, okay? I just want to say
that was me.
A special a special moment for them because a 2-2 draw against Bayern Munich, a late goal, Xabi Alonso, Xabi ball is absolutely real. Europa League contenders and Bundesliga contenders right now. They have 4 wins,
that's great.
1 draw, 21 goals scored, and only 5 conceded. A new team with a new identity with Xabi Alonso. That Xabi Alonso, Breton, is the leading candidate to replace Carlo Ancelotti right now at Real Madrid. Even though I know he extended with Leverkusen 2 years, I think Xabi Alonso could be that guy. Raul, he's not going to be happy.
No, he's not going to be happy. But I'm going to do you one better there, and I'm going to say if I'm Liverpool and I'm looking for a Jurgen Klopp successor, and there's history there, why wouldn't you be talking to Xabi Alonso at any point, right?
It makes sense. He's a Liverpool legend, Xabi Alonso, that is much better than Stevie G right now, seen coaching-wise, which is an interesting fact. It's true, Breton.
Yeah, and just so we that we're listening to you, whether it's commenters on TikTok or on YouTube or wherever, we're working on the name. I know it's not Boniface. It's Victor Boniface.
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 Victor Boniface.
Okay.
One of the best strikers
But we got
in
face.
the Bundesliga right now. It's true. And when
Yeah.
Xabi Alonso started, they were 16th in the league. Right now, they're
Yeah.
first competing with Bayern Munich and not losing in the Allianz Arena with Florian Wirtz, with Boniface, with Jeremy Frimpong, with Hinkepie coming off the bench. So many ridiculous options. But I wanted to do,
That's true.
inspired with this, Breton, and inspired by two, Betanu, just giving a shout out to them, a start bench cell that I saw today of, I don't know if you saw my story, Breton, but if you did, you would be prepared. But a start bench cell inspired with Leverkusen. Start bench cell, Jamal Musiala, Xavi Simons, and Florian Wirtz. 3 ballers in the Bundesliga. What would you do here?
Gosh. Yeah, well, this is tough because Musiala's injured right now, so like my brain is warbled. But no, I know. Okay, I'm gonna be ruthless here. I'm gonna be ruthless here. I'm gonna start Jamal Musiala. I'm going to bench Xavi Simons, and I'm going to sell Florian Wirtz solely on his injury history. There you go.
10 months out, Florian Wirtz.
Calculated risk.
And German people better hope that Florian Wirtz is balling out until the Euros because they need someone new. I'm going to go with start Jamal Musiala. I would bench 2 Xavi Simons, and I would sell Florian Wirtz because Xavi Simons is rising to every obstacle in his career. At PSV, more than 20 goal involvements. Right now, more than 7 goal involvements in 7 games in the Bundesliga. Watch out.
Huge.
So, and Jamal Musiala has to start. Whoever. But let us know. If you're listening until now, comment. We will know that you're listening until now if you put the start bench shell of Jamal Musiala, Florian Wirtz, and Xavi Simons. Well, I got you there, and we will know if you're listening until the end. But let us know, too, of any other topic, the comments down below. What are your opinions? What are topics that we should discuss, too, in the podcast? We want to know your thoughts, and don't forget to like episode 123 and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Instagram, and on TikTok, people. Thank you for going bold another week, and make sure you go bold in your life, people.